presentation. Okay. I'm giving you 1 week, so I think it's enough time for you to prepare, collect some more information. But what I want you to do, and maybe and also not to do this time, is that in the presentation, well, first, okay, that you use other sources. No, I know that all the information is here in these chapters, but I would like you to look for examples, maybe other examples, other than the one other than the ones in the book. Maybe an example of you in a real class doing, or thinking about doing with your students, right? Other sources, maybe a mind map that you create with the group. And basically, when you're doing the presentation, please don't read what is already in the mind map. And especially if you're doing mind map containing lots and lots of information, if you display the mind map and then you read, there is really, I don't know, I think it's kind of pointless, no? That you read what is already on display, because everybody can read, no? Anybody can read that. So instead, no, what I want you to do is you project the mind map, with a few words, a few keywords, and then you explain, in your own words. No, don't read. You are already students in 8th level, and so all of you have very good English. I know that for a fact, and so use your own words. No, talk about your own experience. Because what is in the book, it's already in the book. We can read it anytime. Okay, great. Okay, and also keep it strictly 15 to 20 minutes, because it's Thursday, and we have to finish all groups on Thursday. Okay, so this time when you're in the last minute, I'm going to remind you. I'm going to tell you, okay, you have 1 minute left, so please hurry up. Or and also, if you see that it's getting too lengthy, no, just cut some maybe irrelevant, I mean non-relevant information. Okay, irrelevant. I meant. Okay, so well, so I'm gonna try and finish the explanations of the next 4 aspects. So maybe we're gonna do this a little more quickly. And so by the end of the session, then you have the rest of the hour for your conclusions, or start preparing for the presentations, etc. No? Right. Okay. So Abby, if you could display again this Unit 5 document.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So we already discussed what decisions need to be made. No? The second one, the second question is, who will make the intended decisions? Yeah. So, no, sorry, who will be affected? No, who will be affected? So here, we need to review the term stakeholders, no? Stakeholders. Acá nos referimos como the intended stakeholders, no? Well, we already know what a stakeholder is. We saw in chapter 4, no? We talked a lot about this. We watched the video, yeah. So I just need someone to remind us of this concept, please. Stakeholder. Please, somebody, or the roulette. Yeah, please, thank you.
The stakeholders are the persons who benefit from from, in this case, the scholar system, from the educational process.
Exactly.
It
Yes.
this includes students, teachers, parents, and academic staff in general.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks for reminding us. So all the people involved in the process, no? Right. And so here, if we talk about who will be affected by the intended decisions, well, obviously we have to relate this to chapter 4, no? The intended stakeholders, the intended people, digamos, that will be affected, it always include us, no? Ourselves as teachers, as test developers and users. Of course, our students, no? Test takers, administrators, and so on, parents and everything. No? Well, you have here, no? It could be also fellow teachers, administrators, parents, guardians, universities, government, etc., etc. Okay, so because there are so many stakeholders involved, no? So it's essential, okay, that you, okay, specify who the intended stakeholders are. No, great. So very similar to chapter 4. No, chapter 4. Huh? Now, who will make the intended decisions? No, yeah. So, well, obviously, this is going to depend on the purposes, no, of the decisions. And so usually, for example, teachers, no, for example, informative decisions, no, for example, when you want, como menciona ahí, no, for example, decisions aimed at improving instruction and learning, for example, it usually would be made by the teacher, no, the ultimate decision is made by the teacher, and also students, no, because in the process of learning, what for example, we should always think about what the student can do individually, and autonomously, right? And so we are making decisions, but also our students are making decisions, ¿no? For example, cuando ellos se sacan un 0, por ejemplo, okay, they immediately know that they need to change their attitude, they need to dedicate more time, they need to ask the teacher for extra classwork, for, okay, they ask the teacher to give them opportunities for participation, etc. So it's also the student who will make the decisions ultimately. Ultimately. Yeah, so an example, for example, the teacher, when they want to change the kind of instructional tasks, no? They decide, for example, to dedicate more time, maybe make some changes in the objectives, no? Make some corrections, something. No? The students, for example, they, like I said before, they may decide that they want to change the way that they study, no? Or how much time they dedicate for their lessons, etc. So those are formative decisions. Now, if you think about summative, no? Also it's the teacher usually who makes the decision about who passes and who fails. No? And also, if you want to promote the students to another school, or students in going to university, no? Ultimately, who decides, no, if the student is certified, no, is the school, no, the school rector or something, no, right? And so sometimes you have very big decisions, like, for example, who is going to study in a school and in a university, who is going to be admitted in university. And so esa decisión le corresponde, well, the teacher and also maybe the department, and then the authorities, not the director. Right. Okay. So again, no, because there are many people involved, no? Many potential decision makers, no, involved in the process. So it's essential that you specify who will be responsible for making such and such decisions. No, decisions. So at the beginning, well, of course, this may be, this may sound like a lot of work. No, it's better that you do it in as a very organized process. That, no, maybe you have to do a lot of work on the computer, etc. But then with practice, this will become more I don't know, natural, mechanical maybe, and so you only have your formats and you quickly organize things. So great, but it's important that at least you sit and make a list of the who will be affected. Primero, what decisions need to be made, and then who will be affected by the decisions, and then who will make the decisions. Right. So that is who will make the decisions. Yeah. And so then we have when do the intended decisions need to be made? No? When. So in about this, it's important to, it's another very important question, and something that you have to plan ahead. For example, when you want to make formative decisions, remember that usually formative decisions are made before, or during a period of instruction, sometimes also after a period of instruction. And if you can scroll down a little bit, Abby, please. Thank you. So some examples of formative decisions, like I said before, can include an extra lesson, or maybe a review of the unit, a unit of instruction. And so great. If we can go back to this part here. No, thank you very much. Yeah. And so, so of course, you need to plan ahead. If you decide that you're going to make some extra lessons, that you're going to give some tutoria or something, you have to plan this in advance, and you have to know when it's going to happen. The same happens if you want to give, for example, feedback, from the assessment, so that the students improve their learning. Then you have to, then you need time, okay, so that the students participate actively in this refuerzo, if you like, we can call it reinforcement. Those are examples of formative decisions. So you need to know exactly when you're going to implement these actions. And examples of summative decisions. Well, first, remember that they are usually made after a period of instruction. And the objective is usually to bring about future beneficial consequences for stakeholders. One example provided in the book is, for example, when you want to will be prepared for the next level, That's an example. Another example could be if the school is going to certify some students, ¿no? O si aquí podríamos hablar de alguna academia, un instituto, ¿no? O un instituto de idiomas de alguna universidad, ¿no? So if they want to certify students' language ability at a particular level, ¿no? For example, for admission to the university of something, that's also something that you have to plan ahead, no? You need to know when this is going to happen. And so again, no, because the timing of the decisions that we make or we're going to make is critical, no, for the consequences ultimately. Again, it's essential, no, that you specify when the decisions will be made, no, will be made. So if you look back at chapter 4, no, basically the same 4 steps and also 5 with the qualities is more or less the procedure that you follow for the intended consequences, no? You have to think about what you want to do, who will be affected, who will do it, when they will do it, and finally the qualities, no? The qualities of the, en el caso 1, the qualities of the intended consequences, and now qualities of the decision. Qualities of the decisions. Okay, and so so this is definitely a process, no? A process. Great. And so now we have the qualities of the intended decisions. No? So here we have that the decisions have to be values sensitive and equitable. No? Equitable, como que es, no sé, equitable, if you can translate que es equitativo, no? Maybe in Spanish. No? Yeah, so we have value sensitive and equitability. Equitability, that's it. Those are the 2 elements here. No? So what is values sensitive? No? As you have there, no? It's how appropriate, no? Digamos, how appropriate the decisions are in relation to the existing values, no? Educational, social, societal, no? And how prudente, no? How prudent they are in terms of the laws, no? The rules, regulations of the region in this case. No? Okay. So, for example, I've been thinking of maybe of an example, no? And maybe, for example, when the school receives students from other schools, no? Or when you receive students that come from other cities, not small towns. So you have to be sensitive to these educational and social values that these new students have, no? Maybe that's an example, no? O cuando hay alumnos que vienen de otro país, de otras creencias, no? So it's something that you have to consider, no? In your planning. Okay, and so here we have 3 questions, no? When we talk about values sensitive, no? You need to consider these 3 things, no? If we go to the next, well, here, and then we go on to the next page, no? So you have to consider if these decisions are consistent with your own values as a teacher. Then consider if these decisions are consistent with the values of the test takers, for example, the students. No? if they are consistent with the values and rules of the school, and then with the values of the students, the parents, etc. And finally, if on the next page, if we can scroll down to the next page, if you see conflict among these groups of stakeholders, how can you handle all this, all this conflict to make the decisions? So, Abby, if we can scroll down a little bit so students can see the other two,
Sure, bro. Give me a moment.
considerations. The other two considerations. Great. Okay, so well, well, I think that so far what you see is what we have been doing as teachers, no? Every time that we prepare or we want to prepare an assessment, no? We always think about bringing about some beneficial consequences, no? Es lo que primero tenemos en mente, no? Right. And so if you look at all the steps, no, is what we do maybe empirically, but now that you see a process, it might be very useful for to improve your practice as a teacher, that you start using these formats, no, where you record this information. No? Right, but I think it's basically what we always have in mind. No? When we have an assessment, we think about so many things. So maybe these are good ideas for you to organize everything so that everything has a purpose. And when you have that purpose, you know that it's going to be used for the next step. Good. And so finally, no, what we have here is, if we can scroll down here, related consequences to the, if we can go back to the previous page, page 51. Thank you very much. Equitability, no? Equitability, yeah. Yeah. So equitability, you know, as you can see, también vimos in the chapter last Monday, chapter 4. Equitability is the degree to which different test takers, no? For example, students in this case, no? Have equivalent chances of being classified into the same group, no? And en esto sí, I want to be a little well, critical of the system, of course, no? That sometimes this principle is not applied. No? It's not applied because usually what happens is that we have one teacher in el paralelo A, and we have another teacher in paralelo B, no? Right. And so look, what should happen is that the same quiz should be given to both groups, ¿no? O sea, lo que debería pasar es que el profesor del A y del B hagan un solo quiz teniendo en cuenta lo que han visto A y B, ¿no? And basically, teacher in both teachers should have maybe the same approach, no? Right? And so, because many times it happens that students in group A, okay, they do their very, very best, no? And they're really good students, and maybe the tests are too difficult and they fail. Whereas the students in group B, they do much easier tests and then they all pass. No? But if you compare A and B, okay, maybe students in group A are the same or better. No? And so, entonces el principio de equitability is not being applied. No? So basically, we have to be careful. No, sometimes we work with groups A and B, but sometimes we don't. So we have to make sure that students receive an equitable treatment. No? Yeah, and so one one strategy, something that you can do for this principle to be applied is create these CAT scores, CAT scores. This is particularly useful when you're working with bigger students, and when you want to make sure that, for example, when you're working in levels, students receive a fair treatment based on their scores, ¿no? Lo que pasa en los institutos, ¿no? For example, you say you will have this placement test or admission quiz or maybe diagnostic quiz, and if you get between 10 to 13 points, you go to level 1. If you get 13 to 15, you go to level 2 or something. So you have the CAT scores, and of course you administer the same quiz for everybody. So maybe it's a way of measuring everybody with the same assessment, with the same tool, and making sure that students receive this equitable treatment. Of course, when you think about equitability, you need to do the following and consider the following. As you can see here, be careful when you set the CAT scores. Inform the students and all stakeholders that you have this system of CAT scores and how they work and what they mean. Then make sure that the same CAT scores are used for all students, in equitable circumstances, and make sure that students with the same score are classified in the same groups, and not the other way around. And so, because this is something that happens, it's happened to me also, it's happened to me in other in the places where I worked, porque yo tengo el paralelo A, or someone working in the morning has paralelo B, and so we have very different quizzes, and the students are very critical on this. They say, but they say this is unfair. I know more than my friend in paralelo B. However, he got promoted. He got an A, and he passed. And me, I'm a much better student, and I failed. And so it's something that also we as teachers have to think about. We have to be fair. We have to be fair.
Oh,
Right. Okay. Yes.
and how can we avoid not to be equivalent?
Equitable, no? Equitable. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, yes. Right. So, for example, it's very complicated. No, I'm not gonna lie about that. Yeah, because we have sometimes so much work, so many groups. It's no easy task, of course. No, well, some recommendations are given here. No, for example, design this CAT score. Well, in my experience, so in my view, lo que dije al comienzo, ¿no? Yo recomendaría that if you're working with Paralelo A, you continuously have conversations with the teacher in Paralelo B, right? And so that you together decide on what elements you're going to assess, no? And share your ideas, and maybe prepare a quiz that is applicable, no? and equitable for both, for A and B. And also, and at the same time, you and the other teacher go through the same steps, no? In other words, that you and the other teacher should be on the same page, no? That you guys sit and say, well, we want our students to achieve this and this and this. And so we have to think about what is the ultimate goal, no? What is the purpose? Si vamos a lo más pequeño, no? What is the purpose of this statement? And so let's think about something only for this purpose, and then administer the same quiz, ¿no? Lo lógico sería darles el mismo quiz bajo las mismas condiciones, and teachers and the teachers should basically cover the same topics in class, no? Of course, each teacher is different, no? You cannot teach in the same way or do the same activities that the teacher in paralelo B, no? Yes. But por eso es que en los colegios hay estas reuniones, no? De área or something. That's the moment when you should share, no, your concerns and say, well, let's work together, no? Let's work together. However, and I have to be very honest, no? Creo que es nuestra cultura mismo, no? Our culture, nuestros egos a veces que no nos dejan compartir, no? I think it's cultural, no? Because I've seen people that come from other countries and they are very receptive, no? And they're very open to sharing what they know. But I don't know, for some reason, we are very, somos muy reservados, no? With the things we know. And we have the tendency to think that maybe we know better. I'm not going to share this because this other teacher doesn't know. And so this works for me and I'm going to keep doing that. But to be completely honest, no? For example, in my experience, cuando yo más bien aprendí a ser profesor fue en esas reuniones, con los amigos que hice ahí. Because when I started working as a teacher, I wasn't really a teacher, no? I started very young. I was 21, 22. I began working at Benedict School, right? But I didn't have a degree, right? So I began studying later in life, okay? And I worked in a lot of schools and I had lots of problems. But the best experiences and the best learnings were when I had these meetings and then I made friends, and with these friends we started sharing material, sharing assessments, etc. So maybe responding to your question, maybe to avoid this injustice, or okay, or to stick to the equitable principle, give students the same treatment, give them the same quiz, ¿no? And make the same considerations, ¿no? O sea, por ejemplo, si le ayudo a algún grupo porque una cosa no estuvo clara o algo, I have to help the other group, ¿no? Si decido eliminar una pregunta para el grupo A, lo mismo tiene que pasar en el grupo B, ¿no? One teacher cannot make one decision, ¿no? For the same level when the other teacher is not making the same decision. That's totally unfair, no? And the students are right, no? When they complain about that. Okay, I hope this will give you some ideas. I hope, no? Okay, so any other question, maybe? No? Well, we have about 5 minutes, and so what I suggest is, 5 minutes is too little to explain anything. So look at the example. No, the example. First, you have a summary. Hay una revisión. Page 52, and then you have an example. page 53 and 54. Okay. And for homework, if Abby, if you can go to page 55, 54, 55. Yeah, here stating claim 1, stating claim 2. On page 54, 55, you have activity 5.1. Yeah.
Yes.
So so you have an example. You have the setting, right? Similar to what happened in chapter 4. I think it's the same example. And so in the next lines, you write the intended decisions. If you can go to the next page, and you fill in the format,
Okay.
Yeah. So that's your little homework, Para que practiquen with an example. Great. And of course, for a better understanding, reread this chapter 5 and finish reading the last pages, the examples, the summary, and the backing, on page 57. Siempre el refuerzo for que haya al final. Also in chapter 4, you have the providing backing for claim 1. On page 57, you have providing backing for claim 2. Aunque creo que las páginas, como yo tengo el libro and you have, and this is a different format, tal vez las páginas no estén coincidiendo, but finish reading the lesson and do the activity. That's your little assignment for Monday. Okay, so Monday we do interpretations, and if we have a little time, maybe records. Okay, so that groups 4 and 5 have some maybe information, right? And so Abby, later or tomorrow morning, you can send me the list of the groups with the topics that they have chosen, and the members of each group, because now the groups are going to be different. We have five groups with maybe 5 or 6 students.
I have on the document, Excel document, that we are 5 groups and 2 are composed of 4 students.
Okay, great.
And the others for 5 students.
And the other 3 have 5 students. Okay, great. Yeah. So later you can send me that. And well, so on Monday we organize, Ahí organizamos el horario de presentaciones. Okay. So thank you very much. Let's call it a night. It's already 7:30. So if you guys you can take a break, and I'll see you on Monday. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for everything. I'll see you on Monday, Day. Have a nice weekend.
Okay, you too.
Thanks, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Marita. So any time, Abby, you can close the session.
Sure. Okay.